Looking ahead to game 3, we kind of talked about it a little bit in the first block of the show, but we're going to Phoenix. I'm sure that X Factor is going to be huge in the Mercury kind of being reignited. But you talked about it. Game 3 in a 7-game series is so pivotal because you're either down 3-0 or 2-1. It feels very different. It feels like a chasm between those. So for the Mercury to be able to get back in this series, they need to do what, Autumn?
Multiple things. Well, first, I'm going to go back to the ball movement because in game 1, that was on full display. Quicker middle touches, obviously by AT, getting her in the flow, making sure that she's in full swing and out of foul trouble. Fewer live turnovers, too. Like, this Aces defense have been on a tear. Offensively, exploit mismatches. They do have the size advantage in a sense and protect home court. Like, at the end of the day, you're at home. You get 2 games at home. Take care of business and use that advantage to get you back into the series and let game 3 set the tone. You have to flush what you did in game 2 and get back to your identity of that toughness and fight. And that's what we saw in the series with the New York Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx. So in-game adjustments too, like it's a lot when you think about what the Aces have been able to do, how Becky Hammon has been able to keep them evolving no matter what the quarter has looked like, no matter what the game has looked like. Like right now, it looks like everything is playing in Aces' favor, but I'm not counting out the Phoenix Mercury who have gotten to this point. And I think they've gotten to this point, not just by their big 3, but also their bench as well. Like Sammy Whitcomb, she had a tough game too, but after injury, it looked like she just hasn't been filling and flow and rhythm that we saw throughout this whole course of the season. DeWanna Bonner as well, not really showing her dominance in game 2. You need more from everyone at this point in the season, back against the wall. You need more from every single person in the Aces. They've been able to get multiple contributions, multiple production from different players at different times of the game, which has been hard to contain. And we'll see how it goes, but that's a running list, but that's what you gotta do. Like focus on this full 40 minutes and come like you're desperate because you are in this sense.
Yeah. And I love what you said about the depth piece for the Mercury. I think that is something that has been to their advantage in this postseason. One of the biggest shots in all of the playoffs was Sammy Whitcomb sending the game into overtime against the Minnesota Lynx. And to have her go over in game 2, I agree. She didn't look 100%, even though Nate Tibbetts said that the knee injury maybe looked worse than what it was, and she was ready to go, but didn't get a ton of minutes. And then DeWanna Bonner didn't have a great game in game 2 either. We
Kat
talked
Westbeld.
about Kat Westbeld. These are players that we're looking to kind of be that spark for them off the bench, and they were kind of nowhere to be found. Again, on home court, that could definitely change. Those shots could for sure go down.
Yeah, Ka even mentioned it. Like when you talk about our success as a big 3, don't forget to mention the other players as well, because they have gotten us to this point. They have held us down throughout injuries. They've been able to step up in massive ways, and they've been our X factor to get to this point. You have to sustain that throughout the course of these next few games in order to win a title together.
I think you mentioned it earlier. The Mercury's bench was outscored 41-16 in game 1.
Yes.
And then 16-8 in game 2. So we definitely were able to close that gap, but they're still being outscored. 8 points coming from your bench is not enough to get the job done. The other thing too is 3-point shooting. This is what we talked about when we went through every team's Achilles heel. Phoenix Mercury can shoot the lights out, but when it's not falling, it is really rough to watch. Couple numbers from that. The Mercury missed 15 consecutive 3-point attempts at one point in game 2, finished shooting a dismal 17%, 5 of 28 from the 3-point line, marking the second worst 3-point performance this postseason. So it's ugly when the threes
It's
ain't going
very ugly.
down. When they
Sheesh.
are, they make 20-point comebacks and
Yeah.
they storm back into it. Even when the Aces were up by 20, I feel like Ryan Rucco at one point said, don't count this Mercury team.
Yeah.
Like, they've done it
Yep.
before. It definitely didn't feel like the game was over until it was over.
Mhm.
But if you're not shooting the ball well, that makes for a tough mountain to climb when you get down like that. So I don't know what that remedy is. I think that's just a confidence thing of being able to wipe that, get that out of your mind and be able to shoot it better. But we talked about that. You live and die by the 3-point line.
Yeah, they died in game 2 for sure.
They
5 for 28 was ugly to see. I think they're at their best when they're on attack mode. Alyssa Thomas, like, get out the way when she's coming downhill.
Yeah.
Ka is an elite downhill player as well. Satu Savli, I think she does a great job when she works inside and out. So it starts there in game 3. Like, come in relentless, be on attack mode, get to the rim, and then spray it out for 3 because you know your 3-point shooters are ready in that sense. That can't happen. Like, at this point, you just gotta have a memory of a goldfish. Don't even think about game 2. Get back to just what you were doing all season long and hang your hat on that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, we talked about the Phoenix Mercury. What do they have to do to get back into it? What do the Aces have to do to keep their foot on the gas?
I love what they're doing right now. Everything they need to do from game 1 to game 2, like, copy, paste, and keep it going. Because I love how everyone just seems so bought into what they need to do. Every single role is very sure of themselves. Coming off the bench, what they need to do, in-game adjustments, they have been so spot on. Obviously, Asia Wilson's going to be the focal point of that. But as she goes, this team needs to chug along right with her because that's making them unstoppable at this point coming into game 3. And then the defensive end, I think that's the underrated part of all of this. Like, yes, the offense has been fun to watch. Obviously, Jackie Young in that game 2 going off for 21 points. Like, who doesn't want to see that? The flashy passes of Chelsea Gray, dime after dime after dime. Asia Wilson, face up. Like, any move she hits you with is dangerous. But it starts on the defensive end that they're able to get this confidence from their deflections, from their steals, making things difficult for the Mercury to get to their kill spots and fluster them in a sense, or just giving different looks, period, like switching up from zone to man, different ways for the Mercury to be uncomfortable. So they've said it all season long. They were really harping on it going after, like, in the All-Star break, they were talking about it nonstop. We saw that through and through. And it's been interesting to see how the Mercury, in the postseason, they've been the best defensive team. Aces have been the best offensive team. But pairing both,
Scary.
they're tapping into a different zone. So the Mercury have to come with it.
Speaking of zone, I love how the Aces switched to zone in the game 1 to really shake things up. And that's where we talk about those in-game adjustments of just Becky Hammond being like, we're locked in. We've been here before. That was so smart. And that was what really, really shook the Mercury. And I can see them doing that again, or that type of change. I'm also going to go on a limb and say an Alyssa Smith game is coming. I feel like an Alyssa Smith game needs to happen. She had 3 points in game 2, 21 minutes. I just feel like if they can get some double digits out of her, that's going to be huge. Not saying that anyone else would have a down game in game 3 or game 4, but I just feel like an Alyssa Smith game is coming. Now, I'm going to sound like a genius or a future.
Clip it.
Clip it right now if I'm right.
Right.